What's up, everybody? It's Win Daily Pre-Lock Show. It's Tony. It's Adam. I look forward to this because this is the first time before the 5-5 I actually get to hang with Adam for about 15 and 20 minutes. You're watching this on Win Daily Sports. Make sure you give us a follow at Win Daily on all social formats. Make sure you're subscribing. You're hitting the like button. Subscribe to the podcast as well. And make sure we got our NFL rankings up. We got our promo code STICKS22. Get you that first free month to get ready for NFL season. But Adam, we have so much 14 games tonight. I can't wait. We're going to give you those home run props. We're going to give some value pitchers, some stacks. But man, you mentioned it all fair. A lot of good pitching tonight. So what's the direction? Where are we going at? Who's going to be that ace tonight?
There is a lot of good pitching, and we are officially under 3 weeks to NFL season. I'm just going to throw that out there. As excited as we are for this 14-game slate, we need to get excited about the NFL coming back here shortly as well.
Yeah.
But, when we look at this slate, there are a bunch of different options. The one that sits at the top and the one that I've just routinely played all year long is Shane Mcclanahan. Now, he's been a little, maybe sketchy is the right word. K rate's been down a little bit these past few starts, 4, 3, 4, 7, 6. If you wanted to just go Blake Snell and take the absolute absurd run he's on, I really don't blame you. I think it's going to be very easy to play both, quite frankly, tonight. I don't think you have to really dip into the cheaper end of pitching. Snell's only 93. McClanahan's 10-2. With some of the offenses we're going to talk about, it's super easy to play both if you like. But listen, I don't want to overreact to just a couple starts with McClanahan coming out of the All-Star break. Yes, this is something different for him. He's really not had many seasons where he's gone this long and had this level of effectiveness. But when he's on, he's just ridiculous. Like his K rate's over 32%, swinging strike rate's over 16%. He's been absurd. So I'm not going to take 1 or 2 starts and be like, oh man, I'm hands off. It's going to take more than that to get me off this guy. And at 10-2, he should be way more than that given what he's put out this season.
Yeah, I agree. I look at that price, and even at a lackluster effort, right? He's still the positive point here is he's still going deep into games. Last 2 starts, 92 and 100 pitches, and he's given up less runs. He's gone from 5 to Cleveland, 4 to Detroit, and 2 to Baltimore, which you can already see that he's starting to turn that corner. And let's face it, like you said, he's facing Kansas City. Are we really scared of that lineup?
No. They're closer to league average against lefties. They are a little bit better against that side, but a lot of lefties aren't Shane McClanahan when he's got things rolling. Like his secondary pitches, everything's over 40% K rate or 40% whiff rate. Excuse me. Like he's just ridiculous when he's on. And like I said, the price is just too cheap for him. And okay, what's the worst case scenario here? He gets me 17, maybe 20. It's not what you're paying for exactly, but that's not going to kill you either.
No, listen, this isn't $12,000 DeGrom money, right? So
right.
10-2, if I stumble to 20, I'm still going to be happy because, like you said, we're going to get into this later. There's some valuable bats that we can look at. Now, let me ask you this, be real fast, and just not from a DFS standpoint, but we got a big series coming up with the Mets and the Phillies. I know you're a Pittsburgh guy, but I'm a Philly guy, and a lot of Win Daily guys are Mets guys, but we got a tremendous matchup with Nola going up against Bassett, and Bassett really looked like he stymied a lot of those Phillies bats with his weird delivery, the way he gets under the ball a little bit and comes over the top. But what are you looking for just from a baseball standpoint? What's your feeling going into this 4-game series? Because this could be the deciding factor of how everything plays out.
Yeah, it could be. And the Mets are kind of, I don't know if reeling is the right word because they just were white hot, but they've kind of certainly given some of that hot streak right back. They went to Atlanta and unfortunately suffered a couple injuries in their rotation, kind of helped lead to some lopsided losses down there. They had DeGrom take the mound last night. As per usual, the Mets just don't score when DeGrom pitches.
Crazy.
Some things just never change, as crazy as baseball apparently is. Listen, it's going to be a really, really fun series. I would bet. You force me to take the bet right now because they'll miss DeGrom and they'll miss Max Scherzer because he pitched the night before. The smart money's on Philly to take 2 of 3, and that's where I would lean. They have their ace. Like I said, Carrasco and Taijuan Walker both went down. So not only are you on the back end of your rotation in the first place, you're on your 6th, 7th starter as opposed to your 4th and 5th. So that definitely is a big issue for the Mets.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You get the first, like you said, I'll go with you 2 or 3, and then remember, it's a 4-game series. That Monday is going to
Oh,
be
it
an
is a wraparound on Monday.
Yeah, it's a wraparound. But
Okay.
no, I agree with you with the 2 for 3. That's what I'm looking at with that rubber match, with that Monday game going to be the decisive factor. So it's going to be really interesting. But see everybody checking in. Theo, what's up? Adam checking on. Little Boxer, did you have Bregman in your line today? Yeah, we all had him in at least one of our lines because Houston was
Absolutely.
one of those money stacks that we talked about. So what was
Dude
it,
has been
Adam?
on
55?
fire.
55 points,
50,
man.
55 DK points, 2 home runs, 6 RBI. He had a stolen base thrown in there, like 3
Unreal.
or 4 runs. It's been a while since I've seen 55 from a hitter. I know that it's not going to happen very often.
No, you're absolutely right. And I saw I don't have it. I wish I had it for us, but I saw this amazing stat going online, since something only 5 players that Bregman did today, dating back to 1901, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So again, talking about the pitching, let's get back on track. Obviously, 10-2. Okay, there's your ace. Who's the next guy? Who's the value guy? Maybe we always say 1B, or he could be a valuable guy. What are you looking at for the next pitcher?
So I do have, plenty of options in the article, and there's going to be some cheap guys that I think we can, roll the dice on pretty comfortably. The guy I probably feel the best about, it's kind of a toss up. One's Tyler Anderson. Yeah, he's, he has some warts. He's a lefty for the Dodgers. I'm not necessarily like saying he's an ace by any stretch, but he's had a pretty strong season. And when you look up cupcake matchup, it's the Marlins against a lefty pitcher this season. They have the highest K rate, and they are dead last in on base, OPS, WRC plus, and WOBA. It simply does not get a better matchup on paper for a lefty pitcher than the Miami Marlins this season. It's going to be difficult to ignore him at a 7,900 price tag. Again, you're probably looking at a best case scenario of maybe 22, 23, and then the Dodgers are going to be heavily favored here. He could flirt with 30 DK points at under $8 grand.
That
Now, that needs to be his best case scenario for sure, but that's within play here, I think.
It definitely is. Listen, you mentioned it. I mean, again, you're looking at the actual matchup, and again, if you're looking at a guy, he doesn't strike out a ton of guys, right? But even if he just gets you those 4 or 5, and he goes deep, and that's the thing, go deep into this game, 7 or 6, and quite possibly, you said, if he throws a win in there, 30 DK is not out of the question for 7,900. That's absolutely on fire. And you said something important. Make sure everybody, as we wind this down, we're getting there, but you're reading this article. Although we sit here and talk these streams, there's so much more analytics and information that is in these articles we drop every single day. Now, Adam, speaking of analytics, the bats, the stack, who's that? There is a ton of value on here. So we'll get to a sneaky stack later with you, or a valuable stack. But who's going to be your main stack tonight?
Well, I mean, if you're playing cash games, you might as well just throw a Colorado 5-man stack in there right now and just make your peace with it. Listen, we talk a lot about the first game in Colorado tends to be under, whatever that over-under is. It's not always ideal. I get it. And I'm the big proponent of that. But in cash games, when the San Francisco Giants are going to throw out 5 or 6 lefties against Jose Urena, who can't get lefties out, has a whip over 2 against the left side of the plate, has a WOBA approaching 400 against the left side of the plate, and there's not one damn Giants hitter that is over $4,000. You just can't ignore it. Like, you can build a 5-man Giant stack, however they put out this lineup, pick 3 really good hitters, pick whatever pitchers you want, and you are off to the races. This pricing, I don't care if it's first game, I don't care where this game is played. It's ridiculous to have a Coors Field offense priced this cheaply. It's
And
just absurd. It's
and
gonna be
it's ridiculous.
it's gonna be interesting because they're gonna be chalk. It's a giant slate. There's a lot of offenses that can either match that output or probably even exceed it. If that game flops and you don't have a lot, maybe you only have 1 or 2, you get the right batter too, you could probably jump a lot of people by generally fading the Giants tomorrow because they are just gonna be all over the board. And if they do flop, you're going to be way ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's a good point. Adam says, "What number one game you guys looking at for your top pick?" So there you go, Adam. There's some sneaky picks right there if you're looking for value. Now, speaking of value, we always say sneaky stack, but I feel like there's so much more on this slate. What's that? Whether your next stack that you're looking at may not be as popular or very valuable and sneak up on some people.
So, I don't know where the popularity is going to fall. They were very chalky yesterday, but again, it was just a 6-game slate. That, it's a little bit of a different complexion. But man, I hope the Cardinals ain't done scoring runs because they get another very average lefty. They're one of the best offenses in baseball against lefties. And when we talk about, maybe the Giants flop, maybe they don't. One of the reasons I don't care and I will still use a couple cheap guys is because I want Paul Goldschmidt and I want Nolan Arenado in my lineup. Goldschmidt's price has fallen. He came out of the game early yesterday because it was out of hand by like the third inning. I think it was 10-0 or something like that in the third or fourth inning, if I'm not mistaken. So he got an early break. I mean, Tommy Henry has not shown a ton yet in the majors. He's been fine. But when you look, he has a 1.26 home run per 9 against the right side of the plate, a 5.69 xFIP. So he's been getting lucky. Like I said, this is one of the best offenses in baseball against lefties, and I will have plenty of exposure. And again, I mean, even after Goldschmidt and Arenado, these guys aren't expensive either.
No, they're not. I mean, it's a thing. As much as he's good against righties, this is where my FFVP comes from, and I don't know if it's because I just love the name, okay, or what he's been able to do the last 2 games. Yeah, exactly. It's Lars Nootbaar.
How can you not? I love the name. I'm like, well, it's got to be this guy.
Yes, and he goes yard. He just went yard, which is great. But listen, he's been red hot these last 2 games, and again, it's just a fact that you go against this pitcher that Tommy Henry's not blowing anybody away. This offense seems to be rolling right now. They've been above 5+ runs the last 4 games. They have a lot to play for, obviously, because they're always going to be in that wild card hunt. So that's why I like these guys. So for 2,400, I know he's from the left side, but it doesn't matter. I like the fire that he brings right there for FFVP. Now, Adam, we keep talking about home run props. So before we get into anything else, let's preview a couple home. I know you say you have a couple weird ones. So right off the bat, what's the first home run prop that you have? Because don't forget, everybody, for Adam says that we have a model every day. Ghost is killing it with that model. Make sure you get on there and you check it out. It's right on the Win Daily site, and you're using that 622 to get your free month. These models have been producing some major tickets, so make sure you get involved. So first one, Adam, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. If you're not using Ghost's model, like you're just wasting money. I'll be just very blunt about it. The guy is unreal in what the work he puts in behind the scenes and what he's producing. I've looked at the home run model because he obviously back tested it for most of the season. I'm telling you, it's one of the most consistent things I think I've ever seen in my life. And for home runs, it's pretty impressive because these are not easy things to hit. As far as my pick, he's going to be popular in DFS for sure, but I don't think he'll necessarily be popular to actually wager on for home run. And it's Lamont Wade Jr. from those Giants. 5 home runs in his last 10 games. He has been leading off against the right side of the plate. As I mentioned before, he has a 323 ISO against the righties. Urena has the 210 whip, 384 WOBA. He's going to get balls in play. And in Coors, if you can get the ball in play, sometimes that's all it takes up there.
Exactly. It is all it takes. And and just so everybody knows, I put this up on the screen. This is what the model looks like. Okay. This is from last night. Okay. You're giving obviously the guys the higher rating are more likely to go yard. But the best thing about this is you can click on any team you want. So if you want to look at the Pirates, it's going to give you what those guys in Boston in that game are going to do. You want to look at the Padres, there's the Washington, the Padre matchup. So I mean, who they're going up against pitching wise. So everything is right there for you. Make sure you get on that tool. It's a very, very, very good tool. Now, I'm going to stick with the game, Adam, that we just talked about with Arizona and St. Louis. Okay. And I'm going to go on the other side. Okay. I'm going to go on the other side and I'm going to go with Christian Walker. Now, again, The way I do this is I look at Mikolos or Mikolos, whatever you want to say. He's got a weird
Whatever the
mustache.
name is, you love attacking him. I will say that. I
You,
think every time we do a slate,
know.
when Mikolas is on the slate, I'm like, Tony's definitely taking something against him.
Yes, absolutely. He's given up 4 home runs the last 5 games, and he's not even a great pitcher. He's a junk baller. So, which means when you're a junk baller, your tendency of leaving those pitches up in the zone is what's going to happen. And Christian Walker is absolutely going to smash it. If you look what he's done, he's due. Okay, he had a triple threat, all home run, Colorado, San Francisco, boom, then blank. Well, now it's not going to be blank anymore. He is going to go yard. So for me, I'm going Christian Walker. Before our next home run props, any other value you see on this slate? Any other sneaky players may sneak up? Anything you got? Final thoughts on the slate?
So I will say, if you look at Mikolas even further back, 9 home runs in the last 10 games. So it's even more than just
Ooh, look at
the
that.
last couple games. I will give you that.
You're making me feel good now. Making me feel better now.
As far as something sneaky, I'll give away a little something in the article. A lot of people won't want to hear this. Sometimes he's been a gas can. Sometimes he's been very playable. I think Jordan Lyles is a pretty solid value pitcher tomorrow. He's at Camden Yards, which that has been a big plus for him. His xFIP is 493 at home, which is a big number. But yet the ERA is only 273. And we've seen through the year that Camden has really suppressed the home run ball all the way around. It's one of the bottom 5 parks in home runs now since they moved those walls back. Jordan Lyles is loving that because it's helped him immensely. We look at this Boston Red Sox team that is pretty much dead in the water. Over the past 30 days, I talked about this yesterday, and I talked about this when they saw the Pirates. Past 30 days, their K rate is a top 5 K rate against righties, and they are bottom 10 in every offensive category you could possibly look at. JT Brubaker went out there last night and dropped 30 DK on the Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
I'm not saying Lyles is any sure thing. Probably wouldn't play him in anything, maybe under probably a 20 max. I'm not even sure if I'd be bold enough to go 3 max on this slate because I don't think I necessarily need it. But at 6,500, if everyone's rushing to put in cheap bats from San Francisco, if you flip that script a little bit and you take a cheap pitcher and take some of the stud bats, it's a pretty easy way to get different from everybody else.
Listen, 6,500. Okay,
you don't need a ton.
No, you don't. And if you look at what he's done, 3 of his last 4, 15.5, 25.5, and 20.5 DK wise. And the only blip was Toronto at 8.8 when he was 7,100, and they dropped him all the way down 500 to 66, and now he drops another 100 to 65.
So, like, come on, I'm not gonna hold any of that against somebody. Like, Lyles has shown upside this year.
Yep.
Yeah, he can get crushed in a hurry, but he's had some pretty good games, man. If you catch him on a 20+ night at 6,500, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And he goes deep into games. If you look, you're going to see a lot of triple-digit pitches for Jordan Lyles, which is something to keep your eye on, too, especially when we talk about value because you're going to get those extra innings pitched. Now, second home run prop. You say you were getting different. Who you got, Adam?
Yeah, I'm glad that you weren't going to steal it today. Although when we did agree, Manny Machado went yard pretty early in that game. So, hey, we were right, if nothing else.
We were. Absolutely.
So I'm going to go with Jake Fraley from the Reds.
Nice.
They're going to get Bryce Wilson, who we've talked about before, man, against lefty. If I hit lefty, I might be able to hit a single against Bryce Wilson, okay? 435 WOBA, a 2.03 home run per 9. For every 9 innings this guy pitches, he gives up 2 bombs. He ain't going to make it deep into games. Jake Fraley over the last 10 games, 3 home runs, 342 average, OPS over 1,000. They're in PNC. That's fine. You know, you can still hit the balls out of PNC. Do I wish it was at Great American? Sure, but it's not like it's impossible to hit a home run in PNC Park. Just ask Brian Reynolds.
Yeah, listen, exactly. Who had a big night last night? I like Fraley. Listen, I like Fraley a lot. I liked him when he was in Seattle. I rode him a lot because he was an FFVP worthy plenty of times.
And he's been hitting leadoff too lately against righty pitching.
I was just going to say that, and I noticed that against the Phillies. He had some pop in the last series, so I like that call. And I'm gonna attack a guy we talked about, on the show a couple times. It just hasn't been it yet. And that's Lance Lynn. Now, Lance Lynn, okay, we know what kind of pitcher he is, okay, but Lance Lynn has been giving up the long ball with relatively ease, man. Listen, he's given up 6 home runs against Oakland and Kansas City. Okay. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to attack him tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
It's funny because like he's one of my dudes. I had to put him in Mr. Cut tonight. I couldn't actually write him up, and as much as I hate it, I'm just gonna play Tyler Anderson. Like Tyler Anderson just makes so much more sense.
More consistent, right? He's more consistent. I mean, Lynn has been consistently bad, right? So you definitely cannot play. He's almost got an ERA of 6. So I'm gonna attack him with Cleveland. I'm gonna go Josh Naylor. Josh Naylor isn't the guy that again has hit a ton of home runs recently, which means to me he's due. He hasn't hit one, since the 12th, 5 games ago. But I just like Naylor goes up there. He's a free swinger, and again, you give up that many bombs with Lance Lynn. I'm trying to get a little different with Josh Naylor coming off the Ramirez wagon and going with him. So again, Adam, any final thoughts? We went a little longer tonight because I talked about the Mets and the Phillies series. I think it's pretty important. But you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, just get ready for all the Giants chalk. That I will bet on DraftKings. If you just look at ownership tomorrow, they are the top 9 hitters. I bet their entire lineup is 1 through 9 in ownership tomorrow.
They're definitely ringing value, man. So that's for damn sure. So people they're gonna hit that value button, obviously. So make sure you follow us at Win Daily Sports on all social formats. You're subscribing. We just hit over 2,000 subscribers, so thank you very much. It keeps climbing. We love the audience that we have. Make sure you get in the Discord chat. You're gonna see guys like Adam. You're gonna hear guys like Jared, who's in there all the time as well. Make sure you're doing that model, that home run model. You're going to Win Daily Sports. You're signing up for that free membership, 622. Make sure you're getting involved. Get ready. You heard Adam. 3 weeks for football season, man. I can already hear the intro right now, man. I'm so pumped. I cannot wait. So as always, this weekend, the 5-5, you'll see that. Maybe change to the 7-on-7 because we have home run props. Who knows? We're all going to get unique here at Win Daily Sports. So for Tony, for Adam, everybody, be safe, stay healthy, remain profitable, and we'll catch you next time.